So, while I did get more Magic the Gathering cards, there's enough cards in there that I can't really show it without spending a lot more time doing it than I want to, especially since most of the cards are the same again. So instead, we'll just begin with this first boring thing. Hey, it's pants. Yay. I'm sure y'all are excited to see this. The right sizes. So, next up, I guess I'm going to open this little thing because this is non-anime. Should be the only non-anime thing. And it's Legend of Korra Book 4 Balance. DVD version, of course. I mean, the Blu-ray version would be the nicer quality one, but, you know, I'm not looking for quality in that one. I'm okay with the quality not being the best there is, since I just kind of want to watch it. So, first off, there's 2 packages from Right Stuff, and I'm not sure why. I wasn't expecting 2 packages, but this is good. Because this is Anime Souls. Dear Brother. 2 disc. So y'all might know, Anime Souls, it's been a while since we've seen anything of theirs arrive here. But here we have Dear Brother. That's right. So I was kind of hoping something Kickstarter-y had happened there, because that would be unexpected and wouldn't show up on my radar. Whereas this would. First of all, since we're opening this, we've got a Fantastic Detective Labyrinth, Visit Japan, Travel Among Friends, so familiar things, but I can't help but think, yeah, there we go. I was having trouble getting the Dog and Scissors one unstuck, you know, that nice high quality advertisement they include with stuff. And now, okay, fine, I'll take this out since I can't get the anime out from inside. Okay, Chronicles of the Going Home Club, and then we've got this week's usual swath of Amazon releases. So let's begin with this. Since this is on the top of the pile, it's The World God Only Knows Goddesses, which would be the 3rd season. Yeah, it says season 3, 12 episodes. I'm wondering if it says all anywhere, but given that the first 2 seasons were each dozen-ish episodes, I'm pretty sure it's the same. You could see on the back here, while it's Region A, it is English dubbed, which is to be expected. The first 2 seasons were dubbed. Alright, now, taking a peek at the discs. I think I'm seeing a mix of familiar and unfamiliar faces. So, as is usual, the Blu-ray version has less discs. The only time they're the same is with Sentai releases if they're all on one DVD disc. And as we can see, the Volume 1s contain the same artwork as usual, and this time it's the Volume 3s. Well, Volume 3 of the DVD and Volume 2 of the... So this time it's first and last. Next up, we have the familiar Zero, Night of the Twin Moons. Complete Collection, Season 2. And this is actually really nice because the first season came out quite a while ago. It was one of the last things that Geneon released before they decided to exit the anime market. Now, I say exit the anime market, but I'm not entirely sure, because for a lot of this stuff, at least for Funimation release stuff, some of them say Genie on Universal, which means that Genie on was actually a part of Universal, and so I guess it means Universal didn't want to do an anime, but they had stuff licensed, or they started releasing stuff and whatnot, and so Familiar of Zero, we just never got to finish. I guess we as myself, really, because everybody else could just download it. First of all, Region A, and this one's subtitled only. That is as expected. And I'm glad I watched the rewatched the first season recently, because now I can say that this one is a high priority watch, because I am definitely wanting to see it. So there's 2 discs. It's 12 episodes. Now, I mentioned Funimation before, but this is actually a Sentai Filmworks release. So the Blu-ray version is on 1 disc. And that artwork was not any of these artworks. That works out. Next up, we've got Fairy Tail Volume 15. As Region A, since it's Funimation, as you can see, it's got English dub. Takes the camera a little while to focus on it and show that, but it is what it is. And I'm pretty sure this is one I don't already have, because I can't see the numbers on the sides of the Fairy Tail boxes on the other side of the room, but I don't know. As usual, the discs are fairly simple. It's a straightforward release, but you know, I do like it, and it's a bit more fancy than some of the other more straightforward releases. So obviously we have the NISA Chronicles of the Going Home Club, seal of approval. Can we go home together? Go home. Why not buy 2? This says Complete Series Premium Edition. I'm guessing that it's making references related to the anime itself. That's something I'll probably find out whenever I watch it. Obviously, that's some pretty tough plastic. Let's get some metal involved. Come on. Yeah, it's not coming off there. There we go. This is not being very easy. Doesn't help that this plastic is some of the toughest DVD plastic I've seen in a while. So this is disc number 1. Contains 8 episodes. It's Blu-ray. And you can see there it says Region A. Next up, thought I'd give it another try in case the first one was just a one-off fluke. Nope. We have to reel it out. And then we got a composition book, Chronicles of the Going Home Club, which is your standard. Oh, there's the advertisement. There we go. Let's see, we got Genshiken Second Generation and the Eccentric Family, which I believe I have both of those already. And as usual, this book is probably full of standard character art information, designs. I saw some swimsuits, of course. Doesn't look like episode synopsis from a brief glance, but it's not really a problem. Let's see, if we look down here, this one says Japanese only for audio, which is interesting because the Genshiken one also said English under there, but that one only had an English dub. And then, of course, there was Dear Brother. And I think this is the complete series, all three of these together. This is an Anime Souls release. You know, they're basically a streaming service that's kind of like a Kickstarter for anime, and so I've tried to make sure I've, now that I know for certain that their stuff is coming out, I made sure to donate the stuff to try and make it all happen. That includes that one that happened recently that didn't succeed. So let's see. Content-wise, we got our discs 1, 2. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure they're pressed. Yeah, that's a silver coloring. They are region encoded. Obviously, they would not be dubbed, but I don't know if it would say anywhere on the back. Let's put that there. Look at disc 2, or set 2. So, gotta be careful here, because they say discs 1 and 2, but it doesn't look like they actually say they're from box 2. Looks like using Souls 0004, then Souls 0005, that seems to be our best hints. And of course make this one Souls 0006 or 0009. That also makes sense because that's probably how many sets have been successfully funded. 39. The episode names there seem pretty reminiscent of a potential end of the series, so this could be the end of it. Anyways, that's this week's Anime DVD Collection update. It's actually bigger than I thought it would be. I didn't expect these three. This, of course, gives a lot of weight. And these two releases were what I was mostly looking forward to and will probably pop in the player just after this recording. So last week I mentioned that I was watching Leviathan: The Last Defense. Obviously I was watching this specific disc, but these were both the releases, so I thought I'd dig them both out. And I think I also mentioned that it was strange, not particularly engrossing, but kind of a weird middle point between two ideas. Well, I can definitely say I agree with the meh rating, because as the series came closer to a close, it kind of irritated me quite a bit. I guess to begin with, it establishes at one point in the series that the green girl, I'm going to refer to them by color since I'm having trouble remembering, well, I guess I can remember Bahamut's name in Leviathan, of course. Anyways, she has 3 little sisters, and around that point, they just kind of show up and they just kind of stupid around for no reason other than we're supposed to find them cute. But to me, it's very reminiscent of Anakin from The Phantom Menace and his whole, "Oops, I accidentally flew this plane and whoa," and it's maybe not that bad, but I thought it was pretty close to that. And then at that point, it was just all downhill, because then it's like, oh, y'all really grew through the series, and I didn't really think they grew, except for one little exception, which didn't really seem like that much of a growth. It felt like the anime should have had growth to it, and then it would have been actually just fine, but the way it ended, I mean, it wasn't a real ending, and that's not totally out of the question, because sometimes they want to tell a longer story or a big story or whatnot, but the real problem is that, you know, even for the part we had, we were told that the characters grew, but it didn't really feel like they grew, and we had that annoying, okay, we're getting to the end of the series or this season or whatever. It depends on their perspective. I don't know what their perspective was, and it was. Again, it actually frustrated me. Now, to be fair, there was some frustrating Monster Hunter stuff going on and some frustrating family stuff, but even that aside, it was annoying. But that said, I guess the main reason it was upsetting was because I was kind of hoping that it could have just remained mediocre and would have given me hope for the series, because I thought it was still a lot of interesting concepts, even though if it was a little strange and some things seemed inconsistent and not very well explained. But nah. Unfortunately, I understand why people wouldn't like it at the same time. So, like I said last week, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to watch that arrived. In fact, the pile is now only growing this week, but I chose Outbreak Company because I was still monster hunting, and it was dubbed, and it was Blu-ray. I mean, there's other dubbed options there, but it's just that one was Blu-ray release and DVD release, so I could take the Blu-ray release and put it over there instead of leaving it on the pile of things that I really need to put on my personal server. I've fallen way behind. That's a bunch of big piles. And so I chose Outbreak Company, and I actually thought it was pretty fun. I can kind of understand why people wouldn't think it's spectacular. It's kind of rated in a very, it's watchable. And I thought it was actually pretty fun and refreshing. The issue with it would be that it kind of introduces some concepts early on, which you could consider to be potentially deep. But the anime doesn't really go down that path. It stays at a kind of safe but fun place. So it was a very refreshing and fun watch. Kind of was hoping it would go potentially deeper on certain subjects, but maybe it does in the future, because they end the series half joking about needing to leave people interested in wanting to see a next season. And I don't know if there is a next season. I guess I would know, because I didn't see anything on my enemy list when I searched for this company to market as well, or searched for this anime. Now, the other strange thing about this is, based on the front here and on the DVD menu, you think it's actually a fairly fan servicey anime, but it's surprisingly not so. I mean, it had a couple moments, but honestly, it was kind of nice that it didn't rely on that to be the main selling point. Maybe that's part of what made it feel refreshing. So overall, I thought it was fun to watch. I'm just wondering if I wanted to make any comments about the dub, but I didn't notice. My only thought was her character, I think, was intended to sound slightly annoying and grating. And I say this because I kind of noticed it while watching it, and wondering if that was intentional. But based on how things played off later, it seemed like it. And it didn't feel out of place, but I say this as somebody who watched the anime dubbed first, and for somebody watching it subtitled first, I don't know if that's going to be a good or bad thing, but oh well. Fun anime. Last but not least, I kind of knew how I needed to prioritize the stuff I received, because Space Dandy was definitely one I had seen people talk about on the anime subreddit, and I hadn't watched any of it myself, of course, because I only watch it once the DVD Blu-ray comes out. And I already knew that it was by the same people who did Cowboy Bebop. I mean, even before I opened it last week, and I read that on somewhere, probably the back. But basically, I actually thought it was very fun. I was a little concerned about some of the physical slapstick done to the cat. And obviously he's not a cat, but that's a really funny point, at least the way that the anime put it. And the truth of the matter is that it only had its moments in a couple places, but beyond that, It either was much better about making sure we, the audience, would find it amusing, as opposed to funny because, haha, the poor cat thing is being physically abused. I don't know. So it kept its balance really well in that regard, and outside of that, I think comparing Cowboy Bebop is not quite the right thing to do, although there was an amusing reference to the Cowboy Bebop Toys in the Attic episode. I think that's what it was called. Honestly, I'd say if anything, it's more comparable to Samurai Champloo. Is that Champloo or Champloo? Anyways, the reason I say that is because while it's made by them and takes place in space, the episodes aren't designed to be something that somebody who really likes Cowboy Bebop's jazzy noirish style, it wouldn't appeal to those sorts of people. Instead, it's a lot more like Samurai Champloo, where you kind of got your general premise. This one seems to be quite a bit looser about that than Champloo was. But instead, the characters go from episode to episode, and you'll have a mix of really funny episodes and sometimes the characters do something that's not as funny. I'm trying to think of all the episodes that I watched, because I watched all of season 1, which is nice because season 1 and season 2 are divided up in my anime list, so it's really easy to just mark one as watched. But when it comes to talking about the Cowboy Bebop origin, or comparison, it's kind of noteworthy that I think it's actually, I've been calling it an inversion, but that's not really the right word. It's genre aware, and it seems to come a bit more from, I think more like, it feels a bit more like Outlaw Star, where Cowboy Bebop didn't really have a narrator, but Outlaw Star did. And Outlaw Star began every episode with a narrator giving us some insight into a character, the universe, or the history, or stuff like that. And Space Dandy inverts that quickly, as in, like, even the characters are aware that the narrator isn't really gung-ho about narrating the anime. And I think that's a really brief, simple example that you'll just see if you fire up the first episode, where it gives you the right mindset, where the anime realizes a lot of the tropes involved and instead decides to play with them. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say in particular, but the only thing I can think of is pretty much the obvious. If you've watched even the first episode, is Dandy likes boobies, and I don't mean like boobies on women, because he likes that too, but he talks about being an ass man, even though he changes what he says every once in a while, which is kind of the funny aspects of the character. But there's a restaurant called Boobies. Now, you could think of it like Hooters, except the waitresses wear less, except of course it approaches things from the point of view that even aliens like boobies, which is amusing. And they actually pull it off in a pretty funny way, because sometimes it could just feel stupid and campy. And maybe it's stupid and or campy, but this one, it balances it really well. So again, I watched the 13 episodes. It was fun. I'd be watching more episodes if I had more, but I don't have more, so I guess I just have to wait for more. So outside of that, the only other thing I've really been doing is playing Monster Hunter, and it has been slowing down my progress, because I have gotten to the point where I'm feeling like I want to push myself through the game or something like that. But I'm obviously not doing it the quickest way I could, because if I wanted to do it quick, I would actually just go online and gain HR ranks with people, just to get the G rank and get some good G rank beginner armor and weapons, and then I'd clear low and high rank on my own in single player. Although, it's one of those things where you kind of want to mix the two if you want to have access to all the things you unlock by doing single player. I don't know. All I know is I probably could have been faster, but like I was with Monster Hunter 3, I'm kind of meh about going online, just doing it with people right now, and I guess that's a good thing. I think for some of my friends who I introduced to Monster Hunter 3, they didn't go through the process of building their own characters up, because I was able to rush them to high rank and then G rank, because I could solo all the monsters in multiplayer with my G rank stuff. And at least the one friend who's doing that now, he says he's enjoying it more, and he's definitely playing it a bit more on his own. Anyways, we should be talking about my playing, because I reached high rank over the weekend, which means I fought the Shagaru Magala. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation or spelling or whatnot, but compared to Monster Hunter 3, it's actually nice. Now, I want to say it was a pretty epic way to end low rank, because both the games have very clear, okay, this is the last thing you do before you're done with low rank. And what I remember from Monster Hunter 3 is actually being frustrating. Some people really like it a lot more, and it explores the swimming mechanic of Monster Hunter 3 quite a bit better than anything else, I guess. Because it's not like you're in and out and in and out and in and out of water. You're fighting a final monster in water in Monster Hunter 3. In Monster Hunter 4, since the water mechanic's not there, it's obviously going to be doing something else, and I didn't know what that something else would be, and it had a bit of a story, and I wasn't quite sure what to think of the monster. I thought the monster, as it was being led up to, was actually pretty cool, and then for the final battle itself, I thought it was great. And when I think I said it was epic, and there's two kinds of epics there. Monster Hunter 3 is a impressively epic monster. Like, you feel like you're up against something that maybe you can't really finish, because it's just such a big creature that you just can't, you don't know if you're actually doing anything to it. Whereas with 4, the creature isn't big this time, but instead the battles, well, the reason the epicness is different is because in 3 there's kind of a slow pace that's caused by it being in the water, and like I said, there was some frustration involved there. We had to go through kind of 2 steps in order to fight and beat him. But with the Monster Hunter 4, you instead have a battle where you spend most of your time moving around, always on edge, and it's not particularly hard, but it is very showy and fun to do. And in that regard, it feels like a different kind of epic, and I really enjoyed it. And of course, I'm grinding the monster a little bit now because I need more horns to upgrade the longsword, and then I guess I took a peek at the armor. It's actually very pretty, and I might just have it in order to show it, but otherwise I fought it using the Najarla armor, which doesn't do a whole lot for you, but I was going with the HG earplugs to be immune to the roars, and it doesn't roar too much, so it didn't make that big of a difference, but it's still a higher defense set than my Velocitrum, so it's good, fine. And it's been good, because now I'm starting high rank stuff, but still needing to do some of that stuff. So it's been fun. Outside of that, I guess that's a summary of everything I've been doing. It looks like this weekend is when I'll be pre-ordering next month's anime. Looking forward to that. And Legend of Korra Book 4 is probably high priority, because that gets to be that finishes the series as I understand it. So that's pretty much everything. Y'all have a nice week.